she was lying about her pictures. I just wish she came into it like that from the beginning. People here would not have judged her. Message at Sean, I'm really glad you are yourself 100% now, but I really wish you'd come in as yourself. Being yourself is always more than enough, period, send.
Welcome back to the show. I have another one of the Circle's fan favorites on the line. Shubham, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you? Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. Now, I want to talk about that last clip because as we saw, you clearly weren't too happy about Sean being a catfish. What about that specifically made you feel a certain way?
You know, looking back, like it was my first impression of Sean because we didn't really have any conversations beforehand. So I was a little hurt that she was coming in differently. But the thing is that I was actually really positive for her and I was all for what she was trying to do. I wish going back in hindsight, I got to be more positive about that. But the only thing is it was my first impression of her. So that's why I had the reaction I did. In hindsight, I wish I could show more of the positivity I had for it. But yeah.
And you understand looking back now why she originally wanted to have this maybe, you know, more aesthetically pleasing by convention standards look to her, right?
Yeah, in a way, it's interesting because I think Sean and me actually have the same idea of what social media is. It was just we were doing two different ways of getting there. So I completely support and I understand where she was coming from, yeah.
Well, Sean wasn't the only one on the show at catfishing, as you found out at the face-to-face meeting.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's rewatch this clip.
Shuby.
Joey?
Nope. Rebecca.
Shubes, I've watched the clip 4 million times. I'm sure you've watched it. What were you feeling in that moment? It was so genuine. Tell me about it. What was going through your head?
Well, the thing is, I was saying throughout the whole show, I was Sharky Shubham because I'm the catfish hunter. And then at the end, to have one of my two closest people be a catfish who I didn't suspect Rebecca the whole time. It was just like an out-of-body experience at that table. I couldn't feel anything. I just couldn't even fathom what was happening. It's like, whoa, you know?
It was genuine surprise on your part. You know, we heard you obviously ask if Seaburn was Joey. Did you low-key think that Joey was a catfish?
No, I didn't. So what happened is the game ended, right? And we were waiting, you know, and then you're just pondering, you know, you're thinking anyone could be. And I'm like, you know, Joey was the most honest, upfront guy. But what if he was a catfish? It's the perfect, you know, oxymoron. I never thought Joey was a catfish, but I thought Rebecca was the least likely to be a catfish. So when he said Shuby, I was like, Joey? And yeah.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was because he called you Shuby, and Joey from Jump was calling you Shuby.
Exactly.
Would
yeah.
you have been more or less surprised if it was Joey?
I would have been shocked if it was both of them, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, looking back, I thought Rebecca was the least likely to be a catfish. But yeah, it would have been a total shock for Joey as well. Like, yeah.
Well, I want to stick on Rebecca for a moment because your
Sure.
reaction to Seaburn being a catfish was a lot more understanding, I think, than it was for Sean. Why do you think that was?
You know, I've taken time to reflect upon it. The thing is, with me and Seaburn, what people don't realize is him and me were the most similar in the house, right? Or the circle. We liked Marvel. We love sword fighting. You know, we're both kind of like, we love that type of culture, like anime and stuff. So for me, we had built this whole genuine friendship, right? And it was this brother-sister pure thing. So by the time it ended and I saw him, you know, and he was explaining himself, I'm like, you know what? Everything was the same. Everything was like our brother-sister thing. It was all pure. The only difference was it was a guy instead of a girl. So what do I care? And then versus Sean, it was just my first impression of her. And looking back, I really did wish I could have expressed more of my positivity. I shouldn't have done that. And that was like a mistake. But, you know, I grew from it. And by the end of the time, I was Sharky Shubham, the catfish hunter. But then I realized it doesn't matter. Catfish, no fish. You know, everyone's trying to prove their own thing. Everyone's coming from a different walk of life. And yeah, I mean, I grew a lot from the circle, so it's great. Yeah.
Shuby, it's just us now. Are you sure it wasn't because you had a crush on Rebecca?
No, I'm telling you, like I've told this so many times. It really was. It was just a brother-sister thing. And I know so many people think it was more, but it wasn't. I felt it. I was the one there. And like, you can ask Seaburn, or well, I guess, technically Rebecca or Seaburn. But like, no, for me, I felt it. I knew what it was, and it was a brother-sister thing. Yeah.
I just want to make the love connection happen here. I'm just fishing for it. I'm sharking just like you are. Are you and Seaburn cool today? And have you met the real Rebecca?
I actually have. I have met the real Rebecca, and I've hung out with Seaburn. We were actually in LA. We were kicking it. I mean, me and Seaburn, we're gonna be best friends for life. So more of that to come.
I love hearing it because you guys were, outside of the images and the pictures that we portray, you both were yourself, I think. Even though he was playing his girlfriend, he still, I think, the Marvel thing and the bro thing, I mean, it still resonated. Now, initially on The Circle, you were rated pretty low during that first round, but then wound up being an influencer time and time again. What was that like for you?
I mean, I was so shocked to go from 8th to 1st. And when that happened, I just couldn't believe it. But I was just so happy because it felt like, the connections I was building, they were really real. But honestly, going to the hangout and sending people back to back, like I sent 4 people home. It was the worst feeling of The Circle. The fact that I had to keep sending people home and I was being put in a position where I had to make, decisions that were taking this opportunity for so many people, it sucked. And it was the worst feeling. The only good part of that was I got to protect some of the people I cared about, so.
Honestly, you're so genuine. I think this is why you're a fan favorite. I mean, even Sia is a fan of yours, Shuby. She tweeted she loved you every step of the way. What was it like to see Sia come for you, man? Like, she loves you.
No, I mean, it's crazy. Like, the amount of positive reception I've got, people are so nice, and it means so much. And it's crazy, like, someone like Sia says that, like, it's just insane. Like, it's so cool. Yeah.
Well, it's wild for you because you, since the beginning, came on and say, like, I hate social media. I think it's the bane of my existence. It's like the biggest pandemic of the world. Did you start to understand the appeal of social media over the course of the show and maybe why people are so wrapped up in it?
Yeah, I definitely went on a journey with how I viewed social media. In the beginning, I was calling it social media, and I thought it was like the worst entity of our time. And don't get me wrong, since the show, like I do still see some of the cons, like, the addiction mechanisms. Like I've seen it myself. I keep refreshing it. It's so addicting. And all the studies are saying conclusively it's bad for mental health. But I have grown and I've seen there are a lot of positives to social media. You can reach out to people you'd never be able to connect to. You can build communities. You can raise awareness for charities. And, you can just express yourself. So, it's complicated. I've definitely seen there's more positives than I did before. So, yeah.
Well, I got to say, you are one of my favorites, and your relationship with your father is absolutely incredible. What is next for you, Shuby?
Yeah, no, I love my dad. He's the best. And what's next? I mean, I'm just taking it day by day. I'm going back to work, and I don't know. I mean, we'll see, I guess. I'll see. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the future. I always am. Taking it day by day, though.
What about a Seaburn Shuby spinoff? Like little Three's Company. Throw your dad in there.
Yeah, hey, I'm all for that. Any spinoff anyone wants to put, Seaburn, Joey, anyone, Chris, any of them, Sammy, I'll be there in a second, I'd love that. Spinoffs, yeah.
We stand you, Shuby. Next time you're in New York, please hit me up. I got to hang out with you. Thank you so much for chatting with me. That was so fun.
Yeah, that was so fun. Thank you so much.